What's up, everyone? It's that time of year again. The gang's all here, and that can only mean we want to have another research meeting that lasts 2 hours. No, that's not it. No, don't be silly. Listen, we are here to announce the 2025 Constellation Enterprise Awards. Every year, we get together and we figure out the best, but we also figure out your favorite section, and that's the worst. You're going to have to wait for that. That's the good stuff at the end. But we are going to launch into what are some of the best vendors, what are the best IPOs, what are the best launches, and we are going to start off right at the very top with the best enterprise software vendor for 2025. There were a lot of contenders in this category because, listen, it was a busy year for all y'all. You came out with a lot of stuff. There was this weird thing called AI that kind of there was stuff out there, but we had, this was a great group of runners up, even where we had everyone from Adobe, Anthropic, Databricks, but there was one organization, and some of you might be surprised about this, that we agreed stood above everyone else. Hey, Holger, who's the winner this year?
Thank you, Liz. Yeah, the winner of Best Enterprise Software Vendor this year is, drumroll please, Oracle, which might give the hives to some people, might surprise some people, but here's really why. Oracle has brought together the whole tech stack with strength, from infrastructure over platform over SaaS as a service. Starting on the top on the SaaS side, Oracle has the most complete ERP and has made it even stronger. And most remarkably is actively erasing one of their weaknesses from the past, which used to be SCM capabilities. It's the most motion and innovation inside of the ERP family overall. On the vertical side, where very few people are building verticals right now, Oracle is fully committed to make healthcare work for Cerner. It's the first rewrite of an enterprise healthcare system happening now, coming available in 2026. So they did the investment in that perspective. They've been very good on the developer community. Remember, there's this thing called Java, which is still the largest developer community. And there's been lots of saying that Oracle will kill Java. Well, it's 2025 soon, and Java is going really, really long. But on the PaaS side, really the crown jewel is the Oracle database, which has become the de facto standard for transactional databases, which need to have an enterprise scale. Oracle has partnered with everybody in that industry. People are OEMing or using their software and their cloud modules, and they innovate on that still all along. For instance, they introduced sharding capabilities for transaction database, which for the first time solves what is critical for enterprise, which is data residency and compliance. And there's a shot for them to be compliant. 2025 was also the year where Oracle invested significant OCI, coming up with their first infrastructure products on that side of Oracle Accelerate, which allows the networking and managing of OCI capabilities better. And Oracle has innovated on every level of its offering, on every corner of the tech stack, and delivering lots of offerings with this integrated tech stack. I call it the chip-to-click tech stack for CXOs, and they cannot ignore what Oracle is doing.
Well done, well done. Hey, listen, there wasn't enough. We don't normally do this, but I want to give props to a runner-up. And Mike, listen, Databricks, they kind of killed it. Like, they had lots of partnerships last year. This year, they came out with a lot of stuff, and we normally don't highlight a runners-up, but I felt it was kind of worthwhile to do this. So what was the one thing from Databricks that you're going to look to carry into 2026?
Sure. The runner-up for Best Enterprise Software Vendor in 2025 really is Databricks. And, they did reframe the enterprise data, what an enterprise data vendor looks like in 2025, turning Lakehouse unified data to AI decision fabrics. What we should be looking for in 2026 from them is whether Databricks can turn its data leadership into market beginning to standardize on their governance and AI, all on Databricks. And therefore, signals to watch for: Unity Catalog becoming the default governance layer, and AI products continue to scale, driving expansion to more workloads and driver personas. They already say 25% of their $4 billion run rate is on AI products. Certainly, we want to watch for that continued growth as they scale out. And because if it does, this runner-up today is going to look like a category-defining enterprise software leader tomorrow.
Okay, we have the best software vendor. That's got to be next category, best software vendor CEO. This was a hotly contested one amongst us analysts. We had a lot of folks in there, and yes, you can't not have Sam Altman included in a conversation about this kind of thing. He was a runner-up in all of this. We had Arvind, Arvind. IBM. I'm slaughtering the name, so I apologize, but also a runners-up in this category. But you know what we're not going to do, Larry? We're not going to slaughter the name of the best CEO for this year. Larry, take it away.
The best CEO of 2025 is Sundar Pichai from Google. This is truly a tale of two halves. When we kicked off 2025, the narrative was that Google was going to get slaughtered by OpenAI. It was behind on AI. Its models were meh. Google Cloud was, interesting, but not, scaling per se. And fast forward to a half, Google got an antitrust win, or not as bad of a loss, so to speak. And Google Cloud took off. TPUs are the thing. It's landing huge deals. And really, the company's firing on all cylinders right now. And if you would have bought shares at the beginning of 2025, you'd be pretty happy right now. Google is really firing on all AI cylinders. And, runner-up Sam Altman, he's doing his code red because he's concerned about Google Gemini 3 catching up to OpenAI. And the fortunes for Pichai really started changing with Gemini 2.5. That's when things really got rolling on both the consumer and business side. And, in a nutshell, Sundar's managed to navigate everything thrown at him this year and come out on top.
I like it. Okay, moving on. We have giants like Google. It's easy to see, but we've also got a slew of startups that really started to make a name for themselves. In fact, it got so hard to figure out which startup was going to take the award for best software startup of 2025 that we had to give it to two. And this is in light of us actually having a couple runners up like Gamma that's been killing it in trying to take over that presentation space. But Sharad, who's taking the award? And you got a twofer on this one.
So we're going to go give this award to two startups. And the first startup is Loveable from Sweden. Amazing startup. They really kickstarted the vibe coding effort as we know it today, created an amazing ecosystem of developers who wanted a low-code platform, wanted to go out there, simply build something. And they just give them a platform where you just, go and say, I want to do this. I want to feel like doing this or doing that. And it just eliminated this friction that most non-technical people have in getting started with AI and being able to generate code. And they've been growing really, really well. And the great startups have come from Sweden, including Spotify and Skype and whatnot. And they are end user customer obsessed. And we love Loveable. The second startup in this category of the best startup goes to Cursor. Cursor is an IDE, it's an integrated development environment where it's a fairly modern IDE. This environment that you go in as a serious developer, professional developer, and you go and you essentially take help from AI and generate code. And they have grown so much that they actually literally lit fire among all hyperscalers. So after Microsoft GitHub Copilot, Google came out with Gravity, which is their IDE, and AWS recently announced Kiro. So this ecosystem, the developer ecosystem where AI is helping developers to write code in a very modern way using AI in any programming language that you want, and being able to debug, being able to write test cases, being able to write documentation, all of the above. I think this is where Cursor is simply killing it. And we love Cursor.
Listen, we got a little wacky with our AI awards categories. We used to just call it Best AI Launch, but I'm going to be super honest with you. We all got really irritated by spending probably about like half of our awards deliberation meeting trying to figure out if it was going to be an AI model or an AI application. And if I had to hear the argument about model versus application one more time, I would just probably start screaming through the entire meeting. Notice how everyone's nodding and laughing. Yeah. So we split it. We actually have two categories now. And this one is going to be for the best AI model launch of 2025. And let's just give you a little hint here. We had everything from Amazon Novasonic. We had Grok. We had Anthropic's Claude. We had the entire suite of Chinese LLMs as runners up. But there is one that stood out. Mike, who's the winner?
All right. So let's get into it. The best AI model launch for 2025. We have to give it to Gemini 2.5 Pro, Nano Banana. Look, At Google I/O in March 2025, Google dropped the Gemini 2.5 Pro and paired it with Nano Banana. Look, it was the fastest, most controllable image generation model at that point in time, and I'm sure it's still in people's minds. Let's talk about why. Why was this launch the best for the year for us? Well, one, it wasn't just another benchmark flex. Look, Nano Banana demos went viral overnight. People were editing photos, text prompts like "turn this cat into a cyberpunk samurai." I literally saw like 5 of those. And getting pixel perfect results under the sun. Look, real fun. Dare say delight. Not just scores on leaderboards. I don't know about you. I'm already trying to look at who's on first, who's on second in terms of all those leaderboards. This is really about impact to individuals. And the second thing why they're cool, Google shipped it instantly. This is 200 plus countries, sovereign, air gapped ready, baked into $20 Gemini Advanced plan, and opened API in the same week with 0 waitlist. Again, think about it from a marketer's perspective, this really hit the bill. And even from the geeky perspective, they had a dial for the thinking budget, right? You let you slide from 0.1 second flash answers to full pro deep think reasoning model and pristine nano banana images in one model call. I can't say that out loud. One thing I will say, that is cool and just a validation. It stayed number 1 on the LMS YS chatbot arena. And this is where folks are really looking at what they're using. It stayed there for 4 straight months. It powered half the viral AI images we all saw in 2025. That combination of raw capability, instant accessibility, and pure fun factor. Look, no one else matched it all at once. Gemini 2.5 brought a unique combination of raw capability and just fun with, even with a little ad. Gemini had a little sleeper hit in there. 2.5 shipped edge ready. On one device, nano variants, you could run personal summaries to do things like auto condensing. My notes, I've got plenty of those things. Making Nano Banana edits while offline. Like, again, little things shipped in there. And Gemini 2.5 plus Nano Banana wasn't the most powerful model of the year, but was actually the launch that made the biggest number of people to go like, literally, holy shit, this is really cool. And all that in a single week. And so, now everyone, everywhere you need it, putting Google as a top of mind AI player, the launch really changed a bunch of minds. That's why it's a top tier launch for 2025.
Listen, there was a lot. Okay. And now here we're going to come to the second category that we broke off. It was for the best AI application launch. So not the model, but what we did with them. Right. And for this, we had everything from, Microsoft 365 Copilot's researcher agent. We had Sierra AI. We can't forget SAP's introduction of Joule Everywhere, which impressed everyone. And I'm just going to give you all a secret. If you can impress Holger with an AI application launch, you're really a winner. Like, let's just say that. But officially, the winner for the 2025 Best AI Application Launch is for Adobe's Brand Concierge. Listen. The reality here is that everyone really wants Adobe to stay in a lane. We hear it all the time. Adobe's for marketers. It's a marketing application. It's creatives. You're going to have images. But with Brand Concierge, we see a very interesting shift and broadening of lanes. And this is a true conversational AI platform and solution that looks amazing. This was really thought out to be that interactive self-service experience for discovery. Where do I find things? How can I explore where my next vacation is? How do I know what I need to buy next out of that massive catalog? Brand Concierge is fit for that purpose. And because it's already built on Adobe's Experience platform with all of that single data and all of that access to content, it can create an amazing experience with amazing in-depth, rich media examples of recommendations and have that true conversational bi-directional experience with customers. It is opening up discovery, but the question for this really isn't what it can do today. For me, it's about what it's going to do tomorrow, because it all of a sudden starts to take what we consider and what we as customers consider to be an experience and brings it into one really dynamic, multi-channel, multimedia conversation. It is conversation for discovery today, but tomorrow we got to ask ourselves, does Brand Concierge become a very interesting place to unify all of our conversational AI aspirations into one conversation for customer experience? And that's one of the reasons why Brand Concierge made it to the top of the 2025 AI application launch. Okay, Martin, I'm coming for you, man, because Microsoft got a lot of guff over all of their co-pilots, right? And everyone kind of wanted to give everybody a really hard time, but they came up with a really interesting runners-up in this category. Can you share a little bit about not only the recognition as a runners-up, because it's great, but what's the one thing that stands out to you as far as this AI application when it comes to Microsoft 365's, this is a mouthful, Microsoft 365 Copilot Researcher Agent? Martin, what stands out?
When looking at all of the AI applications that came out, while amazing, but still just, still a runners up, but an absolutely interesting take here on agents was, for a runners up for best AI application, Microsoft's 365 Copilot Data Researcher Agent, again, a mouthful, right? But if AI is the new UI, not a lot of agents really flesh that out or really prove that. But the data researcher agent really kind of does, because it really does change the game for data visualizations, for what we think of as dashboards, in that legacy world of data analysis, dashboards, all that kind of stuff. They're hardwired, hard-coded. They're not super contextual, but this one really does take data visualization, data research, and what those outputs can be, and then really democratizes it into a new way, so that it's not just for managers, it's for everyday users. It's really kind of cool. But what it does is when you marry this agent to the Power Platform and other, interoperable analytics platforms, it really does, for Microsoft, up levels its entire application offerings to be even more enterprisey than they've maybe been perceived, right? There's always been this kind of mismatch for Microsoft where it's got a lot of great enterprise stuff, but its applications were either built or acquired with a lot of mid-market and, mid-size and lower enterprise. But where this tool and others that they're building around their agent architecture and their agent portfolio really enables that high composability, really great AI tools and agents and workflow, as well as the data coming from their new Fabric and Power Platform coming together to actually create a really nice, AI data workflow, combination to make Dynamics more compelling outside of its core base. So a lot of opportunity that this brings for Microsoft as a business, but also really just amazing data charting, visualizations. The dashboard is dead. Long live the new dashboard, because it gets created in seconds based on natural language prompts. Some of the use cases are varied. It's a really cool tool, absolutely worthy Microsoft's data researcher agent of runners up in this category.
Now we got to talk about those partners, right? Well, we got to talk about those partners in two different areas. First, we're going to talk about services vendors, because those are the folks that we call, especially when we're in a panic of, oh my God, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. And thank goodness there are so many out there that actually heed that call and are really pushing the dial when it comes to not only implementation, but the strategy and the implementation of all of this. So we had Thoughtworks, we had Infosys. Those are just the runners up in this category. Larry, I'm going to be a little mean to you, man, because you're going to play the role of Ray Wong today. Ray is really our expert when it comes to all of these services, but unfortunately he couldn't be with us today. So the Oscar goes, oh no, totally different category. Larry, can you share with us who actually is the winner for the best enterprise services vendor of 2025?
Yes, the winner is Cognizant. CEO Ravi Kumar S. Is credited for turning around basically what was a wounded brand. 2 years ago, Cognizant was seen as, struggling a good bit. And then based on its latest quarter, it is putting up organic growth. It's a linchpin in enterprise AI implementations. And it's sort of firing on all cylinders. Like other service vendors, they're trying to figure out how to work AI on internally too. But Cognizant's becoming one of the go-tos when it comes to industry use cases, and especially in healthcare, financial services, and it's areas that's previously done well. It's putting up organic growth that it just hasn't had for years.
I love a good turnaround story. It's kind of like fit for TV, fit for movie. But there's something very interesting in kind of all of this, is that all of these partnerships are beginning to collide, and they collide in one very interesting place, which is partnerships that vendors actually start to create. So we've got those partners who come in and help us, and now we've got those partnerships that vendors are intentionally making in order to help themselves, to be honest with you. Now, right out the gate, Oracle, certainly, our best vendor of the year. They had a lot of great partnerships this year. AWS continues to kill it when it comes to those important partnerships that are moving the business forward. But in 2025, it felt kind of like that partner or perish year. Everyone needed to go find new ways to get all of this stuff together. And the winner for this year is ServiceNow and everyone who heeded the call. Listen, Bill McDermott is hosting a party. And if any of you are at Knowledge, you know that he is dancing through that party the entire time. I love watching Bill dance because it means he's happy, because he knows these partnerships are working. And he went ahead and issued a call, said, everyone come to the table, because in that vision of being a platform of platforms, you need some really solid partners that are building on top of your platform. And we saw that happen. Google Cloud, NTT Data, Cisco, Dynatrace, NICE, Genesys, Five9, Adobe, 3C Logic, Cognizant, Infosys. The list for just 2025's announced partnerships or deepened partnerships was insane. But it also made a whole lot of sense because ServiceNow made its big debut as a CRM. It also continued its view as the partner of partner, making sure that it was bringing all of the workflows into one platform. They want to be that grand connector. They want to be able to make sure that everyone has access and can build on top of, and they have certainly been following through on that. What we're likely going to see is a lot more connection in order to make them the center point for AI. So you're going to see more data companies. You're certainly going to see more of that infrastructure. You're going to see more of that workflows. And most importantly, you're going to see ServiceNow make sure that their partnerships are making an active dent in how work happens, not just how workflows happen. So congratulations to ServiceNow. Hey, Bill, keep dancing. We love it. We love to see it. There is something very interesting happening here, though, and I want to take a break and ask Mike to comment on this, because all of these partnerships, everything that we're seeing here, everything that Martin just shared in regard to Microsoft, what we're seeing in regard to Cognizant, what we're seeing in regard to all of these vendor partnerships happening here, they are sitting at a very tricky intersection between AI and data, right? Almost every single one of them. And that's really what rose them to the top and caught our attention for the best of title. So should we expect to see more kind of strange bedfellows? Like, I know Oracle always likes to shock everybody with a wild and crazy partnership announcement, but should we expect to see more of these type of ramp ups and these types of partnerships as we move forward in 2026?
Not even a question. I think that with the fact that like standards and interfaces between different layers of the stack just in motion, as these things start redefining, you're having new startups, new businesses, and frankly, new partnership opportunities. And frankly, as platforms rise, well, frankly, more solutions will rise on top of that. So expect a whole bevy of these partnerships to just keep multiplying, both on the technology side, as well as solutions built on top of platforms and SIs actually delivering combinations of products and services together.
Best new IPO. This one was a funny category to look at, because we talked about everyone from CoreWeave to, our winner. But the reality here is that the biggest thing we talked about and actually took the runners up spot were all the IPOs that didn't. In fact, I think we were all asking, like, didn't this pop? Didn't this go? Wait, I thought this was supposed to go. We were talking more about the IPOs that didn't happen. So one of the runners up for this category is, well, quite frankly, the best IPO was all the IPOs that were supposed to happen and will hopefully happen in 26. So check back next year right around the same time to see if any of us were right. But the winner of the best IPO for 2025 is Figma. Listen, Chirag and I get to kind of have a front row seat to all the things that Figma is doing and all the things that Figma is advancing and moving forward. But let's talk about this IPO, because it was a roller coaster ride, dare I say, soap opera worthy drama. You started with a price. They were priced at $33 a share. They open at $85 a share. They close at $115 a share, pushing their valuation from $19.3 billion to $55 billion. And that was just in July. Okay. So, but here's the tricky part. Markets are fickle. You don't stay in love with things for very long. And the market sure gave Figma a run for its money, because Figma has been on that roller coaster that like keeps going high and then it like reverses backwards and scares everybody and then goes up again. That is Figma's IPO, certainly. And that's how Figma has really been throughout the year. We've seen a lot of volatility in their stock price, but here's what we haven't seen volatility in: their laser focus on what they're about to do and what they're looking at. So in 2026, do not despair. I think you're going to see a lot of real focus and vision on how do we bring creativity and all the things that we want to create in digital products, and in Chirag's favorite place, in product development. How do we make sure that those ideas become reality? And I think that's what we're going to see Figma really focus in on. And hopefully the stock price is going to level out and we'll see them rewarded for that type of focus and for that type of drive. Here's one that also got a lot of debate. On this next one. Best new enterprise category. For the record, we don't run around charging money to make categories. That's just not what we do. But we sure like to keep track of the ones that are disruptive and truly organically happening. And I can't think of a group of people, Ray included, that find more new categories way ahead of the curve and way ahead of time. We're not talking about things that everyone else is talking about. So as we kept talking about what we're going to see next, we are seeing kind of that bubbling up of things like in the runners up category for retrieval and context platforms. Everyone's buzzing about them, but that was not our winner this year. Holger, what was?
The winner for new categories is sovereign AI cloud. You heard it right, not sovereign cloud. That's been a category since a long time. It's sovereign AI cloud. And it takes account that all of a sudden something has moved because we're doing this AI thing, and is properly introducing one of these cloud new generations of softwares. We talk about generations, right? The first generation of a sovereign AI cloud does address data residency, privacy demands. Everybody should do that in sovereign cloud anyway. The second generation pulls in the training needs, so you can make sure that that model has no insertions of other things happening locally and centrally in the country. The third generation includes the inference, so you have no code injections on the inference level. The fourth generation includes all of that and the source code of those models, so we can see there's nothing nefarious in the source code. And then there's always the aspect that you will only have people who have a passport in that country, so they cannot be coerced by a foreign country to reveal data and so on. So we're adding a 0.5 to make it really complex. So I'm going to quiz my colleagues now. What is a sovereign AI cloud at level 2.5 doing? Of course, no answer on that. That's a sovereign AI cloud which addresses in the second generation data training and privacy demands and has only local country passport holder managing and operating it. Here you go. Congratulations to the new category. I think we'll hear much more on that in 2026.
Let's go to something that we all went to too many of in 2025, because silly season part 1 in the spring and silly season part 2 that just ended. Oh gosh, it was a doozy. So there were lots of live events for us to choose from. So many so that it was like, this was the largest runners up list that we had in any category, because we all kind of loved all of them. It was Adobe Max, AWS reInvent, Databricks Data and AI Summit, Google Cloud Next, ServiceNow's Knowledge. Those are the runners up. Okay. Like there was a lot going on, but there was one that stood out, and it mainly stood out because people are still talking about having attended it. And that winner goes to Canva Create. And I got to tell you, like, if you want to go to a party where literally no color of the rainbow has been left off of the show floor, you're going to Canva Create. They drop you. Like, just imagine being someone who likes to think of themselves as being creative. You don't have to be a pro creative. You can literally just be someone who really digs Canva. And you're going to go to this event and you're going to swim in a ball pit that literally has a lifeguard and ducks. You're going to run through a literal rainbow. You're going to make a bag. You might even go ahead and make yourself some stationery. And then you're going to make yourself real comfortable in all of those demos and all of those trainings and all of those classes, because no one gets left behind at Canva Create. And it is really a party that is really meant to be wrapped up in an experience. What do I mean by a party? Who else ends a keynote with a guitar playing singer, a gospel choir, a marching band, a rapper, and confetti cannons, along with 45 wishes. What are wishes? Canva calls anytime someone says, oh, I wish I could do blank with Canva. I wish those widgets would move around. Guess what you get when you go to Canva Create? You get a wish granted. They do it all on stage. So it is part live introduction of all the new and all the innovative, but it's also a huge party. And the thing is that even if you're an enterprise looking to deploy Canva into non-traditional and informal engagement hubs, your people still get to go and they still get to sit at the same table. No one's asked to sit at the kids' table to learn how to use these tools or where you can lose these tools. This is really about community, and they do a wonderful, wonderful job of making sure that every single person is welcome. They are building community back in the way we used to, where it was fun, where they didn't take itself too seriously. And for that, Canva Create walks away with the top prize. Best new marketing of the year. This is my nitpick every single year when we do this award. It's not just an ad campaign. It's not just a white paper shot across someone's website. It is best new marketing, the whole thing in all capital letters. Best new marketing of the year. And we did have a lot. ServiceNow certainly came in as a runners up, but there is one that really stood above all because they carried a very consistent message across everything that we were doing. Martin, who's the winner this year?
Well, the winner for best marketing, again, overall marketing, is Google Cloud for their marketing around Gemini for Enterprise. Now, why did it win best marketing in 2025? Well, it was really effective. It pivoted that narrative, and it was kind of one of the first to really take that AI assistance to agents, surprisingly, even though other people made really big campaign splashes around it and cool commercials with Matthew McConaughey. This one really brought the meat to it, right? Really kind of automating entire workflows, not just tasks, messages like that, cross-platform interoperability, and really, again, showing that with against, SAP, Microsoft 365, and others, really kind of telling the story of the agent economy in a new way, and really kind of talking with their no-code agent workbench, just bringing a lot of the new kind of terminology and scope that we think about as commonplace. They were one of the first to do it. And when you think about where Mike's talking about, what the success they had with 2.5 launch, when you talk about, what they're doing, from an overall perspective, what Larry's talking about with CEO vision, it all kind of makes sense, right? The consistency of their go-to-market was really strong. They really jumped out ahead. They really told the story from an enterprise perspective first, rather than taking very much a consumer approach to, it's images, it's this and that, right? They really did a great job of that. And, they kind of led the way and really did start the first truly enterprise-focused AI agent tool set that, others were kind of just following with more B2C messages. So congrats to them for being, best marketing Google Cloud for Gemini for Enterprise.
Now we're going to bring it down. We're going to get more narrow. We're going to talk about the best advertising campaign. So what was that big ad that we all thought made a nice big splash? And again, there were some great ads out there. We saw tech probably more than ever before in the Super Bowl. Can you imagine how many people were not only confused by Kendrick Lamar, but then they were confused by all of the enterprise technology ads that were rolling during the game? Anyway, this year, we saw folks like UKG really stand out. Want to give them a nod for the runners up. But this year's top ad for 2025 goes to ServiceNow, and very specifically ServiceNow's "You Don't Need AI Agents" campaign. Imagine, if you will, a CMO sitting down, and Colin Fleming, I'm looking straight at you, man. Imagine Colin sitting down and thinking to himself, I'd like to create an ad that feels a little bit more like a Kendrick Lamar diss track than it feels like a full page ad. And oh boy, did he deliver. Oh my goodness, first day of Dreamforce, and he comes out with a full page in the Wall Street Journal that says very boldly, you don't need AI agents. And when you read the copy lines underneath, it was textbook amazing print advertising. It was glorious. It talked about empathy. It talked about people. It went back to their overarching marketing campaign that they've been running all year long about putting AI to work for people. In fact, the ad reminded us that it's not us that needs AI, it's AI that needs us, because AI doesn't have hopes and dreams. They don't have a weird dog. I'd like to think that they have a weird dog, but according to the ad, AI agents do not have weird dogs. You know what they do have, what they also don't have? They don't have work crushes. This ad, granted, did not have my all-time work crush of Idris Elba, and that's fine. The video stuff did. But this full-page ad talked about how agents shouldn't be the focus and that people should. It was a masterclass in how to develop an ad and put it in the right place and in the right people's hands to get people talking. And that's exactly what Colin and the entire ServiceNow marketing team and their agencies did with this ad that got ad of the year. We are really coming into the home stretch now because these are our categories that you all wait for every year. It's the best and the worst. Okay, we're gonna. Do you see how excited I get about when we talk about the worst? It's kind of mean, but I do kind of love it. Okay, best tech acquisition. There were a bunch this year. I mean, last year was a little bit slim pickings. The year before that, there was like none. So this year was like a little feast or famine reward that we got for being patient and waiting. Some of the acquisitions, I mean, listen, ServiceNow, they got a twofer in the recognition for runners up with Logic AI and their acquisition of MoveWorks. Salesforce and Informatica, how could you miss that giant acquisition that just got dropped on all of our plates? Adobe and SEMrush, my personal favorite in this category, but they did not win. None of them won the top spot. Shirag, you are the one who knows who wins this category. Who had the best acquisition of 2025?
Best tech acquisition of 2025 is Google acquiring Wiz. There are 32 reasons why this was the best acquisition, and each reason is worth $1 billion. And second time is a charm. Third time is not a charm, hopefully. Google tried to acquire Wiz once. It didn't go anywhere. Google tried to acquire Wiz the second time around with a breakup fee of a $3.2 billion. So if the acquisition were not to go through, by the way, the acquisition still has not gone through, but the Department of Justice has cleared. They are not objecting to this thing. So we are hoping that this thing closes. They would end up paying $3.2 billion for the acquisition that might not go through. So this is a big deal. Well, the reason this is a big deal, because we are still in the middle of customers moving to the cloud. It is still happening. Yes, we talk about AI all the time and we talk about a whole bunch of other stuff, but customers are moving to cloud. And all the hyperscalers, as you know, they are growing 30-40% year over year. So a vast majority of the workload still runs on-prem. And when these customers move their workload to the cloud, they are going to need security. They're going to need to secure this workload in the cloud. And Wiz has been amazing in their go-to-market approach. It's such a simple product, such a powerful product, and they had an exponential growth. And Google really liked that. And that's why this $32 billion is totally worth it. This makes Google a sort of formidable opponent to the other standalone security companies, but also companies like Microsoft that has huge security business. Google with their assets on Mandiant, which is the threat intelligence side of the house and incident response, and with their Chronicle portfolio, which is, they have one of the best SIEM that Google actually integrated. And now they have the best cloud security. So expect great things to happen. And this is a big deal, not just in the security world, but it was a best tech acquisition of 2025 and the largest acquisition that Google has done ever.
I got to get in. I'm going to get the peanut gallery in here. Esteban, hi there, chief distiller here at Constellation. We're hearing a lot about these bests, and we're hearing about everything from best new category, best IPO, best partnership for CEOs and for the board out there, because you're our chief distiller who's bringing all of this to light for the board. What are we looking at, and what should CEOs and what should boards really understand when they hear things like best acquisitions, best IPOs, best new categories? What's the one thing you want them to walk away from and really actually aspire to achieve?
Well, thanks for that question. Actually, it's the perfect time to answer this. I'm writing my looking back, looking forward report for the end of the year. And one thing that we need to understand is like all these best acquisition, best categories, they don't have an impact on the board, but they have an impact on the CIO, the CTO, the chief architect. And that the board needs to understand that they have the right person for the job. But if we're going to focus on what the board cares about, probably the best example of how this comes together was Johnson & Johnson back in April moved from 1,300 plus pilots that were doing in Gen AI to 3 projects that they actually decided to fund and move forward. And that's the understanding that they have right now. The board is about impact. The board is about show me what you have done for me. And that's what we're looking at right now. What have you done for me? Let's cut down all the fat. Let's cut down all these projects that are not going anywhere. Let's let the CIO and the CTO focus on these best acquisitions and categories, and give me a model that is going to take me to the next generation.
Love it. Love it. Amazing. Okay. We've talked about the best. Oh gosh, here we go. Everyone get ready to rip off the Band-Aid. Worst tech acquisition. And this is another one we were talking a lot about, because there were some, I mean, like there was one where it was like there was an offer and then it was rescinded and then they bought the CEO because the CEO oh my God, it was a mess. It was goat rodeo. I'm just going to say it. There were a bunch of acquisitions that were actually goat rodeos. And Larry, I almost can't watch. Oh my God. Okay, Larry, what was the worst tech acquisition?
HP acquires Humane. Remember Humane? I barely do myself. They made an AI pin that you supposedly would talk to, and it was supposed to replace your phone. I don't know what the hell this thing was supposed to do. But HP decided to buy it once it was in the bargain bin for $116 million. If you recall, go back 15 years or so, HP bought the remains of Palm too. So my guess is Palm and Humane are going to wind up in the same storage bin in some closet somewhere, and maybe there's a patent HP will use, but I doubt we'll ever see anything come out of this. And yeah, Humane is probably just one of those things that were too early. We'll see what OpenAI cooks up in the future, but generally speaking, this acquisition made little to no sense whatsoever.
Ooh, Larry, don't go too far, because we notice how none of us want to get in trouble and actually say what the worst is, and we just make Larry go do it. Welcome to Constellation, everyone. Okay, biggest tech flop of the year. And this was another one. I mean, it was like, remember when TikTok was supposed to fail? So Meta came out with edits like, we got to replace it. Yeah, that didn't last long. There were so many. Metaverse's revival. Ooh, that was a big snoozer. But there was one that every single one of us were like, yep, that's it. That's the tech flop. And this is an honor that it gets to be worn by a couple different companies, not even just vendors, but a couple different companies out there. And oh boy, okay, Larry, up next, take a swing, man.
DNS failures. Ask AWS, Cloudflare, Microsoft. Go down the list. I thought we had this thing figured out by now, but cloud outages were all over the place. They all blame DNS failures. And wow, it's just something, it's just basic blocking and tackling. And apparently we've automated mistakes and scaled them. Good job, guys.
That's going to be the t-shirt for 2026. Is Larry just looking into the camera and saying, good job, guys. Oh, yeah. Hey, listen, at least we didn't blame the certs this time, because usually we say expired certs are the reason why everything's go down. We've now moved on. We've advanced and we've innovated. And now it was DNS failures. Congratulations, team. Okay, we're going to take one quick question here that I've got for our chief distiller. Bring it all in. Let's come back to you for a final distillation of all of this. We've got all of these winners. Yes, we've got some flops, and yes, there's some big losers. But all in all, what do you walk away from 2025 saying this is the big lesson we take into 26?
Hype matters. That's the big lesson of 2025. Agentic AI didn't exist in January, went from 0 to 30% adoption to 60% adoption to 40% adoption to 15% adoption in a matter of 9 months. Generative AI went from 0 to 30% to 90% to 60% in a matter of the same time frame. Hype matters and hype happens. So let's leave the hype behind and focus on execution. That's basically what it is. You're going to see 2026 is going to be the year of execution. And the key part of execution is going to come as, I'll tell you in a minute.
Oh boy. See, he's going to do, see how he's like a walking cliffhanger. Our chief distiller. It's amazing. We're going to do one last quick swing around the horn here. Okay. Analysts, what is the one thing, and we're going to go super fast, lightning speed round, one thing you want to see more of in 2026? Chirag.
Better security for AI.
Amen. Amen. Esteban.
Resource optimization.
Ooh,
the key to 2026.
Look at you go. Holger.
Resource optimization powered by quantum, just to put on top of.
Oh, no,
Definitely more quantum.
Oh, he
This is the
came for
year.
it.
He's calling it.
Woo! Woo! He did it.
One
He
more
did
time.
it.
He's
Because
pointing to the
something
fences.
matters.
Oh
Pointing to the
man,
fences.
Martin, what do you want to see? One more thing you want to see more of in 26?
I want to see just more of a focus on outcomes, whether that's in how we build our agents or even in our pricing and packaging. Let's get outcome oriented, a focus on outcomes and hopefully value.
Love it. Love it. Mike?
Look, I mean, I think we're all in the same place. It's not about what AI could do. It's AI can trust to decide and act on us. That means less obsession with models, more focus on context. Who decided what? Based on what data, with what guardrails, and why. This is actually going to allow us to scale this up to outcomes and let some automation fly.
I'm going to be super honest with you guys. You know what I want to see in 2026? I want to see people stop confusing AI's output. Like it answered the question right, and it didn't say something naughty or violent with a business outcome. Just because it did it right as we expected and that we paid to have it do does not mean it's an outcome. Everyone stop using those words as if they are the same. That's my wish for 2026. Larry, I don't want to, no, you don't. I'm not coming to ask you about what you want to see more of. I want the one thing that you want to see less of in 2026.
Jensen Huang.
Oh, no. Oh.
Remember back in the day, Ed Sheeran was everywhere? And he had good songs and it was fun and he was all over the charts and he was opening up for Taylor Swift and this and that. And he still is a great guy. He just got overexposed and I didn't cry when he disappeared for 2 years. Jensen, just lay low. I don't need to see you on every stage. I don't need to see you at the White House. It's the Fonz just needs to go on vacation for a bit. I had enough.
Oh my God. We just named Jensen Huang.
Yeah. Maybe let's do the wardrobe change. Maybe wardrobe update, right?
And I love the guy. I really do.
Oh
Just
God, the Ed Sheeran of enterprise technology.
Overexposed.
Oh Lordy. That takes this whole show that y'all have just sat through, and thank goodness that you've been with us this whole time. But that wraps up our 2025 Constellation Research's Enterprise Awards for the year. We've had some really great winners. We've had a couple lows and the losers and the flops, but through it all, we've had fun watching, and thanks so much. So, hey, vendors out there, keep it up. Less silly business, more outcomes, more of what you're doing. We want to see those great partnerships. We want to see all of those great innovations. We do want to see a different leather jacket. Just saying. For the entire Constellation crew, including Ray Wong, who couldn't be with us today, but certainly helped shape these awards. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.